Power has never shifted quietly within the world of high fashion, and it certainly does not do so within the emotionally charged universe of the Logans. When Katie Logan steps forward to declare Eric Forrester as the lead designer of the newly formed Logan Fashion House, she is not merely making a business announcement. She is drawing a line in blood and ink, redefining legacy, and daring the family to confront a future that no longer revolves around a single dominant figure. Katie's confidence is striking not because it is loud, but because it is deliberate. For the first time in a long while, she is not asking for permission, validation, or protection. She is claiming authorship over a vision that has long been overshadowed by her sister's commanding presence. Katie's vision for the Logan brand is bold precisely because it rejects dependence. She speaks not of rivalry but of independence, not of revenge but of evolution. Naming Eric as the creative cornerstone is a calculated move, one rooted in respect for craftsmanship and history, yet free from the emotional volatility that has plagued Forrester creations for decades. Eric represents tradition without tyranny, authority without emotional coercion. By placing him at the center, Katie signals that Logan is not a rebellion fueled by bitterness, but a house built on intentional balance. Still, beneath that polished rationale lies a deeper motivation, the need to prove that Brooke Logan is not the sun around which all creative talent must orbit. For Brooke Logan, this declaration lands as a personal affront disguised as corporate strategy. Brooke does not simply doubt the Logan brand's viability, she doubts its legitimacy without her leadership. Her skepticism is visceral, rooted in years of being the axis of creative and emotional gravity at Forrester Creations. To Brooke, leadership is not interchangeable. It is forged through survival, scandal, and resilience. She believes, perhaps too deeply, that without her vision, any Logan-branded endeavor is destined to collapse under its own ambition. This belief is not entirely arrogance, it is fear sharpened by experience. Brooke has seen empires crumble when they underestimated the importance of her instincts. She refuses to believe this time will be different. Yet while Brooke questions and dismisses, Katie and Eric work relentlessly behind the scenes. Their collaboration is marked by quiet determination rather than spectacle. Long hours, discarded sketches, reworked concepts, and heated but respectful debates define their process. Eric, invigorated by the chance to build something unburdened by Forrester politics, rediscovers a creative freedom he thought age had taken from him. Katie, watching him reclaim that spark, feels validated in her decision. Each successful design, each productive meeting, becomes proof that Logan can thrive without Brooke's approval. What drives them forward is not the desire to humiliate Brooke, but the necessity of escaping her gravitational pull. Still, Katie understands that independence alone will not be enough. For Logan to truly challenge the fashion hierarchy, it needs not only credibility but symbolism. It needs a face that bridges legacy and future. And so, in a move that borders on treason within the family, Katie begins quietly searching for another Logan. Someone whose presence would redefine the brand overnight. This search is not impulsive. It is strategic, cautious, and deeply personal. Katie knows that the wrong choice could fracture the family beyond repair. Yet she also knows that the right one could finally dismantle the myth that Brooke is the sole architect of Logan's success. That realization leads her, inevitably, to Hope Logan. Approaching Hope is not merely a business negotiation, it is an emotional minefield. Hope represents purity of vision, emotional sincerity, and generational transition. She has grown within the walls of Forrester Creations, shaped by its values and protected by its power structure. To ask her to leave is to ask her to step into uncertainty, and to betray expectations imposed upon her since childhood. Katie's offer is enticing not because it promises power, but because it offers authorship. At Logan, Hope would not be an extension of someone else's legacy. She would be a creator in her own right. Hope's internal struggle is immediate and profound. Loyalty has always defined her. Loyalty to family, to ideals, to the belief that harmony is preferable to conflict. Yet the offer forces her to confront a truth she has long avoided. That remaining at Forrester may mean permanent subordination, eternal comparison, and creative stagnation. She weighs gratitude against growth, comfort against possibility. Nights stretch sleepless as she imagines futures diverging sharply from the path laid before her. Leaving Forrester would mean disappointing Brooke, destabilizing Ridge, and rewriting her own identity. Staying would mean accepting limits she no longer believes are justified. As the internal battle intensifies, Hope begins to recognize a quiet resentment she has never allowed herself to articulate. At Forrester, she is cherished but also contained. Her success is celebrated so long as it does not challenge existing hierarchies. Logan offers risk but also respect. The realization terrifies her. because it suggests that her loyalty may have been sustained not by choice, but by fear. Choosing Logan would not make her disloyal, it would make her autonomous. That distinction becomes the axis upon which her decision turns. The moment of revelation arrives not in private but under blinding lights. At the Logan brand's press launch, anticipation hums through the room as industry insiders prepare for a conventional announcement. Instead, Katie delivers a shock that reverberates far beyond fashion. With measured confidence, she announces Hope Logan as the second lead designer of the house. The declaration is not framed as defiance but as evolution. Still, its impact is seismic. Brooke and Ridge Forrester are left reeling. Shock freezes them not because they failed to anticipate competition, but because they failed to imagine betrayal from within. For Brooke, the wound cuts deeper than professional rivalry. It feels maternal, existential. Hope's departure is not just a business loss. It is a rejection of Brooke's authority, influence, and perceived indispensability. Ridge, equally stunned, struggles to reconcile this move with the loyalty he believed anchored Forrester's future. The room seems to tilt as the implications settle. Forrester Creations has not merely gained a rival, it has lost a symbol. Katie's final declaration seals the moment. Logan, she announces, is now fully independent, no longer an extension, no longer a shadow. Her words are calm, but their challenge is unmistakable. She does not ask Brooke to step aside, she informs her that the center has shifted. This assertion ignites a new Logan family war, one not defined by romantic entanglements, but by legacy, authorship, and control. The industry watches closely, sensing that something fundamental has changed. What follows is not just a family feud, but a reconfiguration of power within fashion itself. Alliances fracture, loyalties are tested, and long-held assumptions collapse. Logan is no longer a name associated solely with Brooke's triumphs and scandals. It becomes plural, contested, alive. And in that transformation lies both promise and peril. The question is no longer whether Logan can survive without Brooke, but whether Brooke can redefine herself in a world where Logan no longer needs her permission to exist. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, nothing ever collapses all at once. Betrayal arrives quietly, disguised as hesitation. Desire grows in the space left behind by absence. And moral choices rarely announce themselves as clear right or wrong. They emerge instead as shadows cast by incomplete information. Monday, January 26, 2026, opens not with explosions, but with movement. Physical movement toward San Francisco, emotional movement away from restraint, and psychological movement toward decisions that cannot be undone once spoken aloud. For Steffi Forrester Finnegan, the journey to San Francisco is more than a change of location. It is an assertion of control in a world that is constantly threatening to unravel. Steffi does not travel lightly, nor does she travel without purpose. When plans shift at the last minute and she replaces Ivy on the trip with Elektra, the decision carries weight beyond logistics. Steffi has always been a woman who believes that presence can prevent disaster. That proximity can contain chaos. Her insistence on going signals unease, an instinctive response to emotional undercurrents she cannot yet fully name but refuses to ignore. Elektra, by contrast, greets the change with excitement. To her, Steffi's company feels reassuring, almost celebratory. She believes she is moving forward, toward opportunity, clarity, perhaps even romance, without realizing that her departure creates a vacuum back home. Absence, in this world, is never neutral. It invites substitution, it tests loyalty, and it allows impulses to masquerade as inevitability. While Elektra prepares to leave, unaware of the quiet tensions forming behind her, Brooke Logan Forrester experiences a moment of emotional contrast that reveals the complexity of her inner life. Recently, Brooke has felt unsettled by something that might appear trivial to outsiders. Her discomfort with Katie Logan Spencer continuing to use the Logan name. This irritation is not rooted in vanity but in identity. For Brooke, the Logan name is not merely a surname. It is survival, history, and resilience carved through decades of public judgment. To see it used casually, detached from the sacrifices that shaped it, leaves her feeling displaced in her own narrative. Yet this irritation softens instantly in the presence of R.J. Forrester. Brooke's joy at seeing R.J. happy is genuine and unguarded. She remarks that it feels as though he never left, and in that statement lies both comfort and denial. Mothers often cling to the illusion that time can pause for their children. That absence does not fundamentally alter them. R.J. smiles, perhaps acknowledging that it feels good to be home. But beneath that smile exists a truth Brooke may not yet be ready to face. R.J. has changed. Experience has shaped him. Ambition has sharpened him. And the version of her son standing before her carries complexities that familiarity alone cannot. A race. This theme of unseen change echoes elsewhere, particularly in the dangerous stillness between Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes. Deacon cannot stop thinking about Taylor. Not because he intends betrayal, but because restraint has become exhausting. They have tried to maintain distance, to respect boundaries drawn by circumstance and obligation. Yet emotional gravity does not disappear simply because it is denied. Their eventual kiss is not impulsive. It is the culmination of suppressed longing, shared vulnerability, and the dangerous belief that secrecy can soften consequences. What makes this kiss truly forbidden is not the act itself, but the knowledge of who will be hurt when the truth emerges. Sheila Carter Sharp exists as a looming inevitability rather than an immediate presence. The longer Deacon hides his transgression, the greater the damage becomes. Sheila is not merely a wronged spouse. She is a woman whose emotional responses are historically disproportionate to betrayal. Pain, for Sheila, does not dissolve, it mutates. The secrecy meant to protect her only sharpens the eventual wound, transforming heartbreak into something far more volatile. As Deacon and Taylor cross a line they know cannot remain invisible, another boundary begins to erode elsewhere. Dylan, despite having promised to behave appropriately, finds herself drawn once again into proximity with Will Spencer. Promises made in moments of clarity often collapse under emotional pressure, and Dylan's internal conflict manifests not as malice, but as rationalization. She convinces herself that intention matters more than outcome, that stopping short of a kiss is equivalent to fidelity. Yet desire does not measure itself in absolutes. It reveals itself in closeness, in lingering silence, in the failure to step away. Will, too, is complicit in this slow drift. His restraint wavers not because he lacks loyalty, but because loyalty demands constant reaffirmation. With Elektra on her way to San Francisco, unaware of the tension unfolding at home, Will occupies a liminal space between devotion and temptation. The near kiss becomes a mirror of his uncertainty, reflecting a version of himself that is still undecided, still negotiating between impulse and principle. It is at this precise moment, this fragile pause before consequence, that Ivy Forrester becomes an unintended witness. Looking through a window, Ivy catches sight of Will and Dylan just as they nearly cross the final boundary. She does not see resolution. She does not see restraint. She sees only proximity, intimacy, and betrayal framed by incomplete context. When she steps back, the moment ends, but her understanding of it does not. This is where the narrative's most profound moral dilemma takes shape. Ivy does not know whether their lips touched. She does not know who stopped whom, or why. Yet perception, once formed, demands response. Ivy's conscience becomes a battleground between honesty and harm. Should she tell Elektra what she believes she saw, potentially destroying trust based on an assumption? Or should she remain silent, complicit in a deception that may already be poisoning the relationship? The cruelty of this dilemma lies in its ambiguity. Ivy's integrity urges disclosure, yet her empathy warns of irreversible damage. She understands that truth, when delivered without certainty, can be more destructive than lies. At the same time, silence carries its own weight, eroding moral clarity and transforming witness into accomplice. Ivy's hesitation does not make her weak, it makes her human. In a world obsessed with absolutes, she stands suspended between them, aware that either choice will define her. As Elektra travels toward San Francisco, buoyed by optimism and trust, the audience understands what she does not. That distance has already altered the emotional landscape she is leaving behind. Steffi believes her presence can prevent catastrophe. Brooke believes familiarity can preserve joy. Deacon believes secrecy can delay pain. Dylan believes restraint can be reasserted at the last moment. And Ivy believes that clarity might still be possible if she chooses correctly. Yet The Bold and the Beautiful has never been a story about choosing without consequence. It is a story about how even the smallest decisions, whether to look away, to stay silent, to lean closer, reshape lives in ways no one fully anticipates. By the end of this unfolding moment, one truth becomes unavoidable. Morality is not tested when choices are easy, but when truth arrives incomplete and action must still be taken.